Hey, it's Anne, and I think we are live. What I need to do right now is to double check. There is a certain delay, as always, because I'm streaming via StreamYard, and I'm streaming to YouTube, and I can see that there are quite a few people on. Hi and welcome. You know what? Feel free to use the comments. I do see all the comments here on my screen. Having said that, during this call, what I will have to say is that I'm going to do this presentation because there's going to be a lot. Okay, so I won't be having looking at those comments. I will be going back and looking at it later, simply because we need to get through what we're talking about today. I will have a look at your questions if you have any questions, because feel free to ask questions, and we will get back to that on Sunday when we do our Q&A. And on top of that, I have a little surprise for you, but that is going to be revealed at the end of this call. Okay. So let's get going. There are a lot of you from around the world on, and I'm really, really happy to see you. For those of you who don't know me from before, I am Anne in Anne's Norwegian Knitting. So quite a few of you probably do know me from before. If you don't know me from before, I am from Norway. I'm a knitting designer. I've been doing this for quite some time now, and I'm doing it in English only at the moment. Been doing that for a few years now. My mission is to get the Norwegian knitting out there into the world, and to get you hooked. That's the short story behind it. And I want you to love this, end up loving this as much as I do, because I am totally infatuated with colorwork knitting. Those of you who know me, you know that already. And when we do Norwegian knitting or colorwork knitting, or in the stranded fashion, we need to know a lot about colors. Surprise, surprise. And today we are going to dive into this color thing, because there are so many things with colors that are scaring people off, or people are getting intimidated by all this color thing and putting stuff together. The good news is that you can learn this. You don't really have to be born with this ability to put colors together, but you can actually learn this. But you need to make an effort and put some work into it. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about the Norwegian or Scandinavian color schemes, and then we are going to talk about a bit of a color theory. And at the end of this, I will be talking about some practical examples on how to do this. Because the color theory in itself, I just want you to keep this in mind throughout the entire workshop. And also later, when we're done with all this, the color wheel and the color theory is just tools, okay? And there is, when it comes to all this, when it comes to colors and putting colors together, it's a lot to do with personal preference. And there's nothing wrong or nothing right. But what you have probably noticed is that sometimes the colors doesn't pop as you want them to. And that's where the color theory comes in to support you, together with those exercises that you're going to get from me. Because all together, you're going to end up putting together colors that work well together. And which, colors that you like, because there's no point working with colors that you don't like. That's my number one rule. Always pick colors that you like. Always pick colors that you like. Okay? Don't ever forget that. So let's get going. I can see I get a bit distracted, and I'm going to have to get away from this because I do see all those comments, and you are from all over the world. There's a lot from the USA, Canada, Calgary, Florida, Wisconsin, Ireland, Belgium, New Zealand. Love it. We are, there are people from all corners, and I like that. I really like that. I don't know if you've been into the portal and looked at the Estonia, I can see as well. And if you look at the map where you can, log in, where you can map yourself, do that. It's just for fun. It's not going to be used by anyone. It's just going to be in there for those of us who's in, the workshop. It's just for fun to have a look at where in the world are the different, people located. Just, you don't have to pinpoint it completely. It's enough to pinpoint that you're in Norway or in New Zealand. Pick a random place. You don't even have to put your name in if you don't want to. You can put Jane Doe or John Doe. I don't know what you say about ladies in English, but in Norwegian it's Kari Nordmann. Anyway, let's get started. I want to make me smaller for a while, and I'm going to do it like this time. And then I need to find that document that we wanted to talk about, and I think that is, give me a second, where is it? Because I need to, I got a new computer and it works almost the way that it used to do, but not quite. Where is it? Sorry about this. There it is. This one I need to, because I need to share screen, because then you can see this. Last year I didn't share screen, and then you couldn't see my marker when I pointed out things, but now you can. So here we go. There we go. Color workshop. This is something that we do every year in Norway, at least in my world, not in Norway, in Jan's Norwegian Knitting. This is a yearly event, and I do it in connection. This is the third time I offer the color workshop, and I do it because it's a really good thing together when with the launching or the enrollment period of the Eternity Shawl. Because the Eternity Shawl, as most of you have probably seen, is open right now, and we're going to get back to that later. And a whole lot of you have already signed up, and a whole lot of you are maybe sitting there wondering if you want to sign up, and we can going to talk about that. So I just want to start with showing different ways of using colors. These three here, this, and this, are exactly the same, but they got different pictures and they give a different mood, right? So this sets the colors kind of sets the scene for what is coming. These neutrals, and we're going to talk more about neutrals awfully soon, are not really me. These are not really me either. These are me. These bright, vibrant colors are me in the sense that I love using them for presentations. But since my knitting very often is in this scale, the more toned down, that's what I normally present, right? Because I tend to be fairly blue. As you probably know, I've noticed there's a lot of blue in my world. Who are you? Let me know in the comments. Are you the vibrant type, or are you the muted type, or are you the neutral kind of type? And that, it says something, it doesn't necessarily say something about you that is negative, because that's not it. But it says something about how, you want to be perceived in a way, because it comes from your inner, all this color picking thing are subconscious stuff that is kind of reflects your personality, right? And I find it interesting to see how many are likes this or that or that or this. And I have asked you, there and still time to answer that. I'm going to get back to that on Sunday in the portal. There's also a question where I ask you, are you toned down, or are you muted, or are you vibrant? What is your favorite color? If you answer that, I would love it if you did that, because I'm gonna present the findings on Sunday during our Q&A on Sunday. Okay, this is kind of to me, this is really interesting. Let me see here. There's vibrant all over, blue and brown. I love blue, and I too. I'm blue and brown, and you will see that, and you will see it even better on Monday when we have the color talk with the other Norwegian knitting designer, which I'm so looking forward to sharing with you. She's coming live to talk to us about colors, and we're going to compare our designs and how we pick our colors. So anyway, this was your pre-workshop exercise. I have asked you to make a basket of yarns, and we're going to get back to that as well. I hope you've done that. If you haven't done it already, I suggest that you, after this talk today, that you try to do the color workshop exercise 1 and 2, because they kind of set the scenes for what is coming of exercises today and on Friday. Because since all this is about colors, we start at the basics, and the basic is collecting those colors together, and getting clear view of who you are with colors, because that color basket that you are collecting is probably going to tell you a lot about how you pick your colors. And if you didn't know it before, you will be made aware of what colors you tend to pick. And if you did know it before, you will have it confirmed, right? So please, I advise you strongly to do that, to get the most out of this, because this is a workshop, but it's a hands-on thing, and you need to try to practice what is being said here, because that's when the fun comes in to play. And when we start to play, then the fun part happens, and then we also learn, right? And as I said, here is a little bit about today's agenda. As I said before, there's no right and there's no wrong with colors, and keep that in mind. Another thing is that I'm not a color expert. There are people that have dedicated their entire life to studying colors. What we are doing today and during this week, we are just scratching the surface to give you some tools to move on, right? So probably there might even be people out there sitting there watching now who knows a whole lot more about this than I do. But I know quite a bit, and I want to share with you what I know and how I work, right? So that's the intention for today. What I do with colors and how I pick colors is very often that I use color picking tools. That is when I'm in doubt, I need some answers, to some help, and to pick some colors. And when I was doing a design last year, I wanted to depict this here, right? And I ended up with these colors over here as a result of me. I looked at it and I picked my colors, but to get some extra help, I used that color picking tool. And those tools, I'm going to get back to those tools. I'm going to give you some links to those tools. I have several different ones, and you're going to get that later today. They can help you to settle that color scheme of yours, but don't rely on them fully, but use them as another tool, one of the things in your toolbox, right? Here, what I wanted to show you here is that I'm from Norway. All these pictures that I've used here, these are not necessarily done for designs, but these are done for you, to show you. I live in Norway and I take my photos in Norway, and I have uploaded my photos, which are these photos here, are all taken here in Norway at different places. And look at the colors that they come up with, right? They are all muted colors. It kind of explains why I'm so muted, because we are so naturally influenced by what is around us. Having said that, obviously there are people in Norway as well, and even among my friends, who prefer this kind of color scheme that you find to the right in the picture, which is a color from the Mediterranean, right? But the big majority of Norwegian designs tend to be kind of toned down, right? Just so you keep that in mind. And if you go to there are different reasons. If you go to Greenland, for example, where the Eskimos live, they have bright colors, and everything there is just white because it's all ice and snow, right? They use the bright colors as a tool to make up for all the whiteness. That's there are studies that show that they over centuries have used colors to their best ability to make up for all the whiteness. And I'm also going to get back to that in a while. And also, if you get up into the Andes, for example, where there are so many beautiful yarns being made, and also knitting, you see a lot of colors. And up there are beautiful flowers. In Norway, you don't have that flowers that high because it's too cold. But down there, they have this fauna, which is absolutely amazing, with lots of flowers, and it reflects in their garments, right? And in their colors and how they pick their colors. So back to the Norwegian one. In Norwegian, as I said, we are as a people fairly muted when it comes to knitting. On Monday, you're going to see the completely opposite, because she's nothing like muted. This sweater here is the same as this one. And it's the same as this one. This is my mom, actually, in the 60s. She'd knit this one and this one. I thought it was my gran who knit it, but it was actually my mom. This one here and this one. And we actually do still have this in-house, but apart from the fact that my sister has it, but she can't find it. So she claims that she hasn't thrown it away, and I just pray that we will find it one day. Anyway, these are traditional design, and traditionally this is charcoal and off-white, natural colors coming right from the sheep, no dye, nothing, it's kind of, that was the tradition. Then they used did enhance the black by then, but there was no by natural colors. That was the point, right? And it has been like that for years. And predominantly, it has been like that. And on this, what you see here is that because this is the same sweater, and this is a male. This sweater comes from an area in Norway called Setesdal. And this is the bunad, the national costume. And you probably know it by now because I've been spamming you all about May 17th. We had the national Constitution Day last Friday on the 17th of May. And we all wear our bunads on that day. These are the bunads from that area. And the sweater is actually incorporated in the male bunad from Setesdal, the Setesdal sweater. And I bet there are quite a few of you who either seen or knit one of those. What you can see in the party version of it is that there is a lot of embroidery, and the picture hasn't got the right resolution, so you can't really see it. But there is embroidery along here in the opening because they've been steeking, that is cutting, for those of you who are new to that. And also around here, lots of colorful embroidery. So that is done. They did that at some point. They started doing that to make it a bit more colorful, right? So, and this one is, because it's traditionally, it was, a sweater that was used by everyone in the area. And this one is actually from, I think it's 1840. 50, 60 something around there. This picture is taken, and this is the same sweater. And here you can see that there are no embroideries. It's just knitting because this is a working sweater, right? Okay, so just to give you a little history on how we in Norway used to be fairly muted. These here are from the 50s and the 60s. And here you see there's some color coming into place, but they're still muted. They're not the vibrant kind of colors that you see, right? This here is the Marius Genser, which I know quite a few of you also have knit, and that one was in black, red, and white. Later, it came in blue, red and white, and today it's very common that is in blue, red, and white, this one, but you find it in all kinds of colors today. This one is the Setesdal sweater is an older one, and this one was made up of some parts, some of the motifs in the Setesdal sweater, and some motifs taken from other areas in Norway. Point is also, if you look at all this, you see that there are fairly big motifs, and it differs from Fair Isle, where there's small motifs and color changes all the time. In August, we're going to do Norwegian Wool Month, which is another really exciting, with external speakers coming in. Free event that they do, so stand tuned for that. And then we're going to talk more about the differences between Fair Isle and Norwegian knitting. But they're fairly big motifs, right? They're small here, yes, but there are some big ones. And here you see this. This is today, how you see today. We've actually gone into that blue thing. Blue is very Scandinavian and very Norwegian. Yeah, very Norwegian. The Danes tend to be more more in the nude tones, browns and beige and that kind of stuff. But we are in Norway, awfully blue. Okay, just to show you that there are colors, but we are normally toned down and muted. There are these people saying that colors are vitamins to the brain. I went to this. I was in this. I worked in a photocopy business, a global big one, many years ago. And I went to this seminar, and this person said that colors are vitamins to the brain. What happens, as you know, there is no color without light. We need the wavelength to see colors. And up north, it's fairly dark in winter. It's, we have the snow, which lightens up a bit, but it's fairly dark. And for a few months every year, very up north and in Svalbard or Spitsbergen, where this is taken, it's actually no sun at all for a few months. Having said that, it's not like pitch dark. You do see kind of a little, but it's dark and it's white. So the white shines up. But to brighten your day, what they've done up there is that they have colored the houses in different colors to give you some wavelength to work with for your brain, right? Because even if it's night, you do see those colors because of the white snow and everything and the reflections. So what happens is that they have different wavelengths, and these wavelengths, when they get into action and you see them with your eyes, I'm not an expert, but I'm just telling you what this person said during the seminar. It sends signals to the brain, which helps you create serotonin, which is the happy hormone that you have to feel better. So the thing is, because colors, when we see colors in general, the serotonins are increasing. So we should really stop using all the blacks. I'm kind of sitting in a glass house, as you say in Norway, right now, because I wear a lot of darks myself, very often dark blues, but still a lot of darks. But with all these bright colors around, if you feel down one day, put on a red scarf or a pink scarf or a yellow scarf and give yourself some color, because that color might be saving that one day, right? So, that's how important colors are to us. If everything was black, the inside hair would become black as well. So we need colors in our lives, right? Here you see it in winter, same houses, but now with the snow around it. So let's talk about some color wheel stuff. Color wheels are fun, but they can be intimidating and they can be a bit frustrating, but they are just tools. Remember that, please, 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 please. Always, always, always. They are just tools for you in your color picking. What makes it difficult for us is, when it comes to picking colors, is that it's not really the colors, it's the shades, how much or the value That's what's going to be the problem for us when we put together colors. But we're going to get back to that. So let's start with some basics. When you have the color wheel, we all know that there are primary colors, and the primary colors are the blue and the yellow and the red. And we have all tried to mix the yellow and the blue, and we get the secondary color, because then we use two colors to together, and we get the green, right? And then the same, if you do yellow and red, you get the orange, and if you do red and blue, you get a violet bluish thing, right? So those are the first, the primary and the secondary colors. They're in this wheel, looking beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I love this wheel. And I was, I have to tell you a short story. When I used to do, I have an online shop in yarn shop in Norway before I started off with that 10 years ago. When I felt bad, all I did was take my chair and go into my room where I had yarn from floor to roof, to ceiling, and I just sat down and I was sitting there looking at all the colors, and it always lifted my spirits. So I just wanted to say, I love colors, even though I don't use them that much in my knitting. So here we have the primary and the secondary, and some in between. These here are, called wedges, these little cake slides here. And what is important is that in here, this red one here, all this looks kind of like nude or tanned, or this looks like almost like brown. But all these colors are by definition red. Okay? All these colors are by definition blue. Looks more bluish there actually, but in the reds here and also here, you see that this even could actually look a bit like green, which is natural because there is green in there, but still, because green is part of the yellow, right? So, but all these are red, all these are yellow, all these are blue, and so on. As I said, then in addition to that, we have something called value, and I'm going to come back to that. As I already mentioned it, I'm going to mention it again because this value thing is really going to help you a lot. And the value says something about how much white or gray, or how much gray rather, there is in that color, in each color, right? Because what you will see here, for example, is in this circle here, there's a lot more gray than there is in this second circle. The first one is the purest circle. The second is what we call the tint. And then you have the shades, which are with the gray, okay? And these, again, we're going to dive into this now. But again, I'm going to say this like a million times, and I'm probably going to say it another million times. They are tools. So don't get intimidated by all this. Just know that these are tools. You have the color wheels, you can pick your colors from that, and you have the value scale, and that value scale is going to be invaluable. So when you pick colors, there are certain combinations that, according to the people who know a lot about this, is more pleasing to the eyes than others. And the easiest one is, these are called harmonies, and the easiest one is the complementary colors. And they are, if you pick red and you go right across the wheel to the other side of that wheel, you will find green. That means that green and reds are, they are complementary, right? Same here. Yellow all the way over to the other side, and you find that blue-violet thing, which is the complementary to yellow. And you can do that throughout, just go across and you find the complementary colors. So these colors are apparently pleasing to the eye when you put those together. Then, and here is one. This is one of my designs where I put together colors, and I am, I'm one of those people who just pick colors that I like. And I've done this so much, so I have a feeling of what colors don't go together or not. And when I did this, I didn't even think, but when I worked on this a couple of years ago, when I first did the first version of this presentation, I came up with this picture and I saw, okay, that is actually made out of complementary colors. That one. So that's a good example. I also want you to note that in Norwegian knitting, very often you have white included to create the contrast. That's used a lot, and you've already seen that in the colors. You have the black and white, you have the blue and the white, and a bit of red, but there's a lot of white in there. So by doing that, when you use that white, you take away some of that color challenge, because almost everything can be put together with white. You just have to be, careful with the lighter tones, this more subdued tones. So, but that doesn't mean, because you still have the possibility that you put colors together that really don't fit together and they don't look good together. So that's where these harmonies come in, right? Then you have something called analogous harmonies. And the analogous harmonies, that is if you go for, I anticipate. So if you go for the blue one, like I would do, then what you do is that you pick each color on each side. Then you get the analogous color scheme, okay? You don't necessarily have to do, when you pick this, you don't necessarily have to pick, all from the outer circle or all from the second circle. You can move along. Point is, if you take this one from each of these and put them together, it will be an analogous color scheme, right? And the blues here are not really going to give that much of a difference, but if you go for here, for example, you will see more difference in the colors. But those are the analogous, 3 colors next to each other. Then you have the split complementary, and that is if you pick the blue one and you go right across, but then you take the one on each side of right across, right? Because that means that, because the complementary is the orange and the blue, but you are almost doing complementary, but you want to have 2 kind of variants. So you take the ones that are closest to it, like this on each side. When you put those together, they also are considered to be what we call pleasing to the eye and harmony. And you have this triangle. Yeah, you create a triangle like that. Like it's not even with 2 longer sides and 1 short side. Because then we have the triad. There are where you have 3. This is a proper triangle where you pick 3 colors from the wheel that are in that triangle. You put a triangle on the wheel and you can turn it around and you can pick whatever color you want, right? And again, you can pick from the different layers in the circle when you do this. There are more harmonies, but I'm not going to go into that. There are so many of them. So if you want to dive into this, you need to, go out and buy a book and dive into it and read a lot about it. The point is that it shows you, and the thing is, what is important for me to say is that this can give you an indication of what works together, but you also see that you can almost pick whatever you want, right? Because you have so many different options. So then the problem comes, again, what if the color doesn't pop? And that will happen. There is something called temperature that's one thing, the first thing that we need to talk about. And you have the warm and the cold, or the warmer or the colder, or, colors. And some people find that difficult to, what are the different colors? It's really easy, actually. Put a tone, a line through the wheel, in the middle of the red, violet, and the middle of yellow, green. And then you have the warmer colors on this. These are per definition called warm. These are per definition called cold. Having said that, you will always find a red colors, for example, with a lot of blue in it. They're still red, but there's a lot of blue in it, so they appear to be fairly cold, right? And you will find that in any color, that there are, you will find blue colors with lots of red in it, so that they are warmer. But it's kind of, there's always, and also what you will see is that because the fleece and the wool that is used for the different yarns have color in it. You will see that, for example, one of my favorite yarns is this one here. This one here is one of my favorite yarns. This is made out of a gray fleece. This is Sølje from Hillesvåg, and it's the same yarn as I've used in this cardigan behind me here. And this here, the white one here is made with the light gray one is made from white fleece, but this is made from gray fleece, and so are all the colors on this one. And that means that there is a gray undertone in that color, which will influence the temperature. And a gray, not even a gray, a gray. But I mean, the color of that fleece, the nature of that fleece, that wool that they've used when they've spun that yarn before they colored it, will always influence the yarn and the end result of the color, obviously. The thing is, if you want a pure color, you have to use synthetics. That's the only yarn which is absolutely without any influence from the material that is actually, at the bottom of it. I don't use synthetics, so you will never see that in my world, because it's I only use wool. Let's put this one back in here. Yeah. So when we now go to the next level, let's go back to these wedges and the cakes, because we have something called chroma. And I know there's a lot of stuff here, but don't worry, you're going to get these slides when we're done. I'm going to clean them up a bit, and then I'm going to upload them. And when the replay is ready, and later today, I'm going to send out an email saying, hey, the replay is ready, and the exercises and the slides are ready for downloading. Okay? I should have said that at the beginning, but I forgot. As I said, these are all red, right? The outer circle is what we call the purest color, as I told you, and that's the U, right? The next one is what we call the tint. That's when we add white to it, right? And then we have the tone, and that's when you add gray to it. And then at the very inner circle, we add black, and then that's a shade. That's what they call a shade. Having said that, again, there are so many words being used out there. It's about, when I learned I've learned to knit when I was 9. I learned to knit English when I was like 50. I'm 55 now. So all my knitting English is fairly new, but I got control of it now. It took a year or two before I really, but now I understand it. But what I realized when I worked when I tried to teach myself all the vocabulary, is that I didn't know a lot of the words in Norwegian. I didn't know what to call them. I just did them. And secondly, I had problems finding one term for one technique or one thing. So there are so many people use different terms. So you might have seen different terms than I use. Okay, just so you know. I should have said that at the beginning as well. So there we go. And one of these here, when you bring out a whole cake, it's what they call chroma. Okay? I'm not an expert on this, but this is what it is. What I am is that I know a lot about these differences here, and that's what makes it fun to put colors together. Because if we were to only pick from the outer circle, seriously, I would have had trouble, because I'm not, I don't, as you know, I liked mine toned down, right? Toned down. My colors, so I like them with grays in it, or in the summer at least tints. with white in it, right? I'm not the bold colored person. I love it, but I am not. I don't like to wear it myself, but I love it to see it on other people, right? So another thing which is important to notice is that the browns and the khakis tends to be called, people tend to call them neutrals. But be aware, you don't have to go and tell them if they say so. But you can, you know from now on that per definition, they're not. The browns are made of orange shades or tones, right? And the khakis are in this area over here, okay? They are not neutrals. So now you know. But you can tell others if you want to, but you don't have to. But now you know, okay? A fun fact. Let's get back to the value because this is really, really fun and I use this a lot. I have, this is a yarn. These here are the yarns that I use. I have 2 million of them, or at least 70 different colors lying around in here, in-house. This is a super soft yarn from Knoll or from Holst. That's the same yarn, by the way. It's just branded differently. It's Knoll who manufactures it, makes it, and Holst is branding it under Holst's name. So when you see, for example, with Suzanne's SU Fibers, she's got it. She calls it super soft from Knoll, and it's the same yarn. Okay. And they have an amazing color palette. You have so many colors to pick from. So when I sat down to do the shawl, which you see at the back there, you know, the eternity shawl that you've probably seen a few times now, I sat down and picked colors from that yarn, and I ended up with what you've seen in the shawl. Point here is, when you are supposed to pick your colors, how are you going to put them together? So I have taken, this is the, you know, this is the rainbow, more or less. And I have taken a few combinations and put them together. You see this green and yellow and reddish, very blue reddish, but it's actually called Italian blue or something like that in Norwegian. Italian red, and a blue one, and a blue and an orange. And when you look at them like this, they look perfectly fine, right? They look like they are, you know, these are very different. They're going to go nicely together, right? And they will. But the problem, the issue is when you start doing colorworks with standalone stitches, you will probably see that they don't. And how do you know that? You know that because if you make these grayscaled, you will see that their value, that is where value comes in. And I just love this so much. That's when you see that the values are more or less the same. You see, these are more or less the same, these are more or less the same, and these are more or less the same. And when you start knitting colorwork, stranded knitting with standard-on stitches with these colors, you will see that the pattern color is going to be eaten up by the background color. It's going to disappear. You will not see it. And that's what many of you have experienced. Last year, I saw some people trying, and I've also asked you to just pick colors and make stripes or squares on small little pin cushions. I don't know how many of you have done it, but I asked you to do that and just pick colors based on what you like. And probably they look nice. Next step is to use exactly the same colors knitting colorwork to actually see what is happening with your colors. And you're going to get instructions for that at the, you know, after we're done here today. Because what you see here is that these are too much the same. It's not going to work, I tell you. Then I have swapped around the colors. Now you see that here, all of a sudden, there's a big difference between these two. Their value is, the grayscale value is so different. That means that these two are going to work together really nicely. when you do the color work knitting. Here you have got the same, and this one is the same. So that one is, it looks more or less, you know, it's going to be on the, probably not going to work. It's going to work, but it's not going to, the pattern is not going to pop like you want it to. That's the point. And that's what people keep saying that they have problems with. It's to actually find colors that makes the pattern show up and not disappear, right? And that's where all these tools here are coming into play. I have done, last week, I did a quick little try to show you some more examples with some other colors. On the top part here, I've used these 3 colors here, right? And because there are, you know, there are always exceptions to the rules, but this black and white thing is going to help you on the way. You can see that here there is, okay, different value difference. Here it's closer. There's still a difference, but it's closer. So let's see, what does it look like in colors? And these colors here, I have used those on the upper part here. And you see that the background is the middle one, and you see the lower one here. They look really nice when you look on them like this, but here, you know, it disappears. And that, in fact, I have also used all the color work, all the patterns here are knit dominant so that they should pop. For those of you who don't know anything about that, just leave, don't think more about it. But for those of you who know, they are knit dominant. The upper one, on the other hand, the more yellowish one, this is more orangey. This one works with this one, right? So by doing this little test, I had this here, but then, okay, I knew that this lower combination might be a bit to stretch it, but I was quite sure that the upper combination would work. And by doing this little knit out, it actually showed that it did work, right? The next combination, why isn't that working? There we go. Yeah. The next combination is, here you see 3 colors that are more or less the same, right? And does it work? Yes and no. The blue and the purplish one over here, it really doesn't, it doesn't work. They're too close. The blue and the red, it does work. It does. But it works best with the stripes, but it does work on this one, right? But I'm not quite sure how it would be if you did. I have a feeling that this would be a bit too much with that blue one to get against the red one. But because the blue is the blue, it will show. But just to show you that there are differences, because these look more or less the same, but here the blue works. But on the upper part, the theory with the black and then the grayness worked. Then you have the last one, and that is the 2 purplish ones and the red. And I can tell you, if you look at this one here, I'm going to go back, take this back. Here, there is pattern. You can't see a single, you know, stitch here. You can see it if you really work hard. But there are stripes there and there are patterns with these 2 colors. Here you see the contrast is bigger, so it should work, and it works in the grayscale, and it also works here, right? I just wanted to show you this, that this tool is really useful when you try it out. And for those of you who have joined the Eternity Shawl, you have actually seen this in practice in one of the sessions where I show you the grayscaling when you do your color picking in your color picking tool. And when I help people putting together colors, I always do this experience, because I can't really sit down and this exercise, I can't sit down and do knit everything, but I have a fair idea. And then if they are too close, I always advise people to avoid that combination and try to find another one, right? Does this make sense to you, ladies? I hope so. Let us see. I talked about color dominance. There are two, there are normally when we talk about color dominance, color dominance are has to do with where you bring your yarn from, if you want it to pop or not. That's for another day. But there is color dominance in this when you talk about colors as well, and you have recessive colors and you have the dominant colors. And as you see here, the dominant colors are the ones that tends to show more, and the recessive colors obviously are those who tends to disappear more. And the cooler colors are disappearing in amongst the warmer colors. That's the general rule. The darker in values and the more toned down or shaded colors, they disappear more than the ones that are the brighter or light cool values. And to help you sort this out, you have to go back here to look at this one, to sort that out, to get around it, because there's a lot in here. Okay. So feeling overwhelmed, don't do that. Don't be overwhelmed, because this is these are tools, and it's this color picking thing is a process, and you learn how to pick your colors. But this workshop and this week is meant to give you insight on how you're doing it today and what you can change, right? So where are we going from here? We are going to play with colors. I have asked you to start playing already, and I hope you have started, because it's really fascinating. If you've already made a couple of those small pin cushions with your favorite colors, now we're going to start playing around with it. When you pick your colors, there are a few rule of thumbs. Always start with colors that you like. As I told you last week, always start with colors that you like. If you end up knitting stuff in colors that you don't like, how likely is it that you're going to enjoy that? Not very likely. And the longer that knitting goes on, the less you are going to enjoy it. So make sure that you are enjoying the colors that you are using when you knit. For those of you who knit for others, that's another story. And I don't knit for others. On commission. But if you knit for others, and make sure that you try to twist them into your, not necessarily favorite colors, but colors that you like. Okay. So start with the colors that you like. When you've done that, when you pick your colors, let's say that you're going to do 5 colors. Find out what is going to be your main color. What do you want to, very often there is a main color. If you do feral, you have many colors. In Norwegian knitting, we don't do feral. We do Norwegian knitting, and that has a main color, most of it, a base color. And then from there, you pick the other colors that, fit with that color, okay? If you want to check if, the thing is, I'm gonna stop sharing this for a minute. If you find your colors, and what you can do is that you take a picture on your phone with those colors. You put them together and you take a picture with that on your phone, and then you grayscale that. You can even take the picture in black and white on most phones today, and then look at those shades and those values. Sorry, not shades, values. Are there values in there that are too close? Then swap them out, right? Do you want to take it a bit further? Then go back to this file here that you got, the handout that you got. Look at the harmonies. Do you want to pick colors from the harmonies to put together and try that out? Do that. But always do it with a swatch. Use all these tools that I've given you during this call, and then make a small little swatch. Don't start out on a big York sweater before you've tried the colors first. One, because you want to make sure that you like the colors and you want to make sure that they come out as you want them to do. Whether they come out as your neighbor wants them to do, doesn't matter. What matters is that they come out as you want them to do, right? So that another thing that is very helpful is to I'm going to show you something. Use the pattern as a starting point. So this here is my design. Obviously, it's a color. It's a sweater that I made a few years ago, and that was a knit along that I did. And I had 160 Norwegian people knitting that one, and 80 of them sent me a picture of their colors, and I helped them pick colors. What we did during that one is that use the pattern, right? And in the pattern it says base color 1, 2, 3, yeah, and then color 1, 2, and 3. So there's 4 colors, base and 1, 2, and 3. And then what you want, if you want different colors, if you want red as a base, then you take that red, and then, okay, maybe you want a blue, maybe you want, pink, a pink, and put those together. But have a look at the original pattern and see, okay, which one can this blue here, can that one replace the green one in the original? And can this yellow replace the green in the original? If the answer is yes, give it a try. If the answer is no, drop it. But use to your advantage the tools that you have, and the patterns that are chosen in the original can help you to find colors that are suitable for your combination. You use that as a starting point, and then find replacements and think, can this, if I replace this with that, does this one give the same value contrast, like, as in the pattern? So, that's how you need to work. You have to try to think abstractly on this. Okay. Another tip is, as I told you, that you can use when you pick colors, because some people find it difficult to pick colors in general. Use photos from your travels, from the nature around you, a pleasing picture, and use that as a starting point, and go into one of those graphic apps and ask them to help you make a color swatch, and then you can start working from there. Very often when we put colors together, we are influenced by nature. Most of us are. We don't know it, but it's nature that influences us all the time. Really, it is. And yeah, so use those pictures that you have at home for that. I also want to, here we go, this one. There we go. I also want you to, because now it's time to start playing. You have the color wheels, right? You have the harmonies, you have the picking the grayscales and all that all those tools, and also you have your own preferences. You have the color selection apps that I'm going to give you. You have you can use if you have a sweater that you bought at one point and you like the colors in that sweater, you can use that as a starting point. If you have a scarf that you like the colors of, you can use that as a starting point. What point is, now I want you to go to your candy basket with yarn, and you're going to start playing. You're going to make one of these here. This one is not the same as the one that I showed you earlier today, because I have a lot of these. And you're going to start playing, because this is the only way that you're going to learn. You need to put this into practice. You've been listening to me talking about different stuff for an hour now. A lot. But for you to actually get this under your skin, you need to start playing with it. I've given you a few diagrams, and I want you to start playing with those and make a long tube like this. Just knit in the round, continue knitting, test out different color combinations. There are there will be, you know, I want you to make a harmony. I want you to try out your own combinations. I want you to do a triad, all that kind of stuff. But it's in there. It's going to be in the exercises. And do that and try it out and see how you feel about the colors that you put together. Do they work or do they not work? And what you're going to see is that you're going to learn so much from actually practicing this compared to just listening, because now I've been giving you ideas on what you can use and how you can use it. But as soon as you start practicing, then you're going to see that, yes, okay, so this is how it works, right? I want you to draw the attention to this one at the bottom here. Look at that, blue and yellow. On the squares, it looks okay. On the standalone stitches, it doesn't look okay at all, right? So it's the colors are gonna behave differently when they are whether they are in solitary and standing alone, or if they are in groups with different more stitches of the same color. So all this is stuff. What I've done here is that I've done these here is meant to give you an idea of the differences on how they work out. So use these charts to try your colors, and then on Sunday come back to the Q&A with me on Zoom, because then you can ask questions. The Q&A is on Zoom, so you can actually, we're going to interact and you're going to be able to ask me questions and get answers. And tell me about your experiences after having tried out all these exercises, okay? Let me see what else. Yeah, on Friday, you will also get, this is the shawl. And this is another way of picking colors. When I did my colors, I sat down for my shawl. I sat down and this is the picture that inspired me. This picture, when I am on the top of the mountain, this is on the top of the mountain. That's when that's my happy place. And that's the place I love the most in the world. The top of the mountains in Norway. These pictures up there influence me a lot in my color choices. This here is definitely picked based on this. And when I go to this wheel, I just pick colors and put them together. When I go to this wheel and I do, I look at this, then I see that the browns, I have they're blue and they're browns. And as you know, the browns are down here, right? As we talked about before. So they are actually complementary, the browns and blues, right? So by accident, or just because I kind of know what I do, it turned out okay. But still, I had to play a little around with colors, because if you look closely at that shawl, don't tell anyone, but the beginning looks a bit different than the end, because I changed my mind on some of the colors at the very beginning. So the first repeat is slightly different than the rest. So the repeats that you see now in the shawl, for those of you who have signed up, you will have this, what you see here. At the other end, it's slightly different, but I hardly ever show that to anyone. So let nature inspire you when you do this, okay? For those of you who doing the international are thinking about it, you get this tool where you can play around. And on this one, I just want to show you, because this picture here is, these colors here are based on this picture here. It should have been in color, but it's not. This comes from one of my students. It's Janet. She's in the Great Experience, which is my deep dive program, a 12-month deep dive program. she sent me this picture and she asked me, can you help me put together the colors for this? And she made a really good selection, and I just helped her with a couple of small adjustments. And she knit that one, and it came out like this. And it's absolutely, and this actually depicts that picture so well. She's also done the original colors, so she's done 2 of those. And this came out because in here it's on purpose. It's, you see that the contrast isn't that big, but that is an intention. That is the intention with this shawl. The contrast, the pattern you shall see it, but the intention is that it shall be flowing in a way so that when you go closer to it, you see the details on a different level. Okay, so I want to end it with that. If you have any questions around any of this, make sure that you leave your questions in the comments in the portal, preferably on the Q&A post, okay? Because then I can make sure that I look into that before we meet on Sunday, right? Obviously some of you will be getting answers, you know, as we go along, but it's easier to show when a lot of this has to be, you know, when you show it hands-on. And on Sunday we're going to make, and on Friday you're going to get instructions. I'm going to get a new video on how to do color changes made based on this technique. And then we do the Q&A and some other stuff on Sunday, and then there's the color work on the conversation with Tone Wang on Monday. Okay, any immediate questions, you know, short ones right now? Are you happy? It's been 1 hour and 6 minutes. I've been talking a lot, and I've been running through stuff, but still, I hope I haven't lost you completely. And don't feel discouraged, really. Don't, because this is all about playing moving forward. You can go back to this now for a week. If you've upgraded, you have it for a year. If you are in the Eternity Shawl, you have it for a year. If you are wondering if you want to join the Eternity Shawl, join us. We are open for another week. We are closing on the 30th, right? There are so many people signed up right now, and we have room for more. So, and if you're wondering if it's right for you, ask in the portal, you know, ask me a question here, or send me an email, right? I will get back to you. So with that, Donna Marie, it's a lot to consider. Thank you. And yes, it is a lot to consider, but don't think about this color workshop, because this color workshop, I talk about the Eternity Shawl because the Eternity Shawl is 7 colors, and it's natural to start talking about colors during the open registration period. But don't think about the Eternity Shawl when you do all this work. Start playing, you know, pick colors that you like, right? See if it works. If it doesn't work, why doesn't it work? Go to the color wheel, grayscale it, you know, and see why is it? Yes, grayscaling, you see that the value is the same, so it doesn't work. The color wheel says, okay, this doesn't really, you know, it's not in harmony, so it's not really it's not that likely that it's pleasing to the eye. So it's kind of, you need to start playing around. Start somewhere. Don't let this overwhelm you. And later today, when the replay is ready, you will get some exercises and all the slides for this together with that. Okay? Cool. I keep forgetting the grayscale trick. You can't keep forgetting that, sweetheart. You have to start remembering it, because you can't live without it. Okay? The grayscaling thing is absolutely vital. I can see both Suzanne from which is one of my featured yarn shops, but I also think I saw your next knit. Yes, Sanita. She's in Canada, and she's offering kits for the Eternity Shawl for those of you who are in Canada and needs to buy yarn. So And the same does the yarnery do in the US, and Suzanne with SU Fibers. Suzanne is one of my great experiencers, and I kind of pushed her into becoming a yarn shop owner. So there you go. The cardigan pattern behind me, that's, I just have to ask this before I go. Your next knit, that is the level 3. It's in the Great Experience. That is exclusive for those who are in the deep dive 12-month program that I have. Okay. But it's a perfect color example because we have some, oh gosh, you have so many colors in there. There are 7 colors in this one as well. Okay, now I'm gonna go and I'll see you on Sunday, and you'll get some more stuff on Friday, and you get all the material from today later today. Okay, bye.